kaiju, Dragon Ball, Pokemon, and more. It's Steven's Toy Reviews. Hello there, collectors. It is Steven here, and today we are going to be taking a look at the world of Nintendo Metroids, both the 6-inch version and the various 2.5-inch versions that are out there on the market. Now, something to take note of for the world of Nintendo Metroids is that these things are hot commodities. The 2-inch versions are, quite frankly, very, very difficult to find, and for the 6-inch versions, they are so popular because not only do they scale well with, let's say, the Figmas for something like the Baby for the Super Metroid, but they're also great cosplay props if you're going to be using them from something else. And as you saw before, you can also make a nice light-up tank with those guys. Now, with that in mind, you're not really going to be able to find these for MSRP. So are these guys worth hunting down if you're going to be paying, let's say maybe even $12 for something that retailed for only about $4 or $5? Yeah. Well, let's take a look to see whether or not they're worth adding into your collection. So for this review, we're going to first take a look at the 2.5-inch blister card version of the Metroid. Now, keep in mind, I did say blister card version because there is another version we're going to take a look at in just a minute. But for right now, the blister card version of the 2.5-inch Metroid, it does have a nice, squishy, clear membrane that is a little foggy. You can still see through it and make out the details, such as the little yellow spots that are going to be on the inside of the Metroid. We do have the fangs, which are colored really, really well. The paint job is actually really impressive for the price point and the size. You'd expect maybe a skimp around that price point, but you know what? They really didn't. Good job there. And of course, we do get a little display stand to make it look like the Metroid is floating. This isn't necessarily a knock against the figure. This is just me being hopeful, of course, but I just wish that maybe there would have been a way that we could get another display stand, so this way we can make it look like it's really floating up higher. But you know what? That's not really something that Jax really needed to take care of here. That's just more so wishful thinking from a primarily import collector. Now, something to keep in mind with the blister card version of the 2.5-inch Metroid, there were actually, variances between each of the ones that you might pick up on the shelf. Whether or not it's going to be how clear that green membrane is going to be or how squishy it's going to be. Sometimes it feels like it's almost paper thin and you can really, really move it around. Other times you have to put a lot of force into it in order to get it to move. Sometimes it is almost crystal clear. Other times it's really foggy. And considering I have, way more of these than I would like to actually admit, I can definitely tell you each one you get is going to be different than the previous one that you bought, so do keep that in mind. Also take note that this soft membrane does love to just attract dust and never, ever let it go. Now for the next part here, we do have the check lane version of the 2.5-inch Metroid, and it does have some things that are better than the blister carded version and some things that are, worse, and you're already seeing the parts that are worse. So what is better? First and foremost, what's better is that it is going to have a much, much, much clearer membrane to it. So this way you can clearly see all of the details that are inside the Metroid, and you can clearly see the paint applications, which I do really appreciate. Also, it is going to have a hard plastic to it, so over time the membrane won't necessarily deflate like the normal blister carded version of the 2.5-inch Metroid just might over time. It's also easier to clean. What is a downside to this though is that since it's a hard plastic, since it doesn't necessarily have the protection that a blister card would have, since it's just going to be sitting out there on the shelf, they used a hard plastic that had to be joined together with that wonderful, joyous seam that is just ever so pleasing to the eye. Yeah, that's a pretty big eyesore to something that is supposed to be very organic in terms of design, so that's not very good in that regard. But other than that, it looks great. It is nearly identical in terms of paint application to the blister carded version of the Metroid. So, good job there. Next up, we do have the 6-inch World of Nintendo Metroid here, and I've got to say, once you get it in hand, you will know exactly why some folks were jumping to pay $50 to get one on the aftermarket back when it first came out, because this is one really, really sweet figure here. Now, admittedly, this is nowhere near worth $50. This retailed for, well, 15. Yeah, so you are going to get your money's worth here. Arguably, some folks would say probably less, but keep in mind that this has definitely gotten reissued. Now backstock is being found. You can readily find this for about $25 if you are looking around. So don't worry, these are in supply. You just have to look around and you will be able to get your hands on one of these. But anyway, for the 6-inch World of Nintendo Metroid, if you're looking to get a Super Metroid for one of your Samus figures, whether it's going to be one of the Figmas or even one of the 4-inch World of Nintendo ones, this will be a great figure for that. Or if you're looking for a cosplay prop, so if you want to go out as the bounty hunter and you want a little one to take around with you, this will be a good choice for that. Or if you want to make a containment tube like I showed you how to make in another video, this is the one to get. But quality-wise, I do have to say that there are a couple of issues that I have and a couple of things that I think are really fantastic. One thing that I want to point out, though, would definitely be the transparency of the membrane for the Metroid. Now, the initial production run saw a very, very clear version of the membrane. Over the multiples of this one that I've gotten, unfortunately, they have all been the cloudy one. I don't have the ability to show you what the clear versus the cloudy one looks like here compared to the 2.5-inch World of Nintendo Metroid, so sorry about that. But do note that there are two different versions that are out there. That being said, the cloudy version, it is kind of difficult to really get a grasp on exactly what the paint details look like on the inside for the Metroid, for all the little bumps and the grooves and whatnot. But realistically speaking, the yellow is painted on well enough that it doesn't look like there are any real issues going on. On this particular one, unfortunately, there is a random hair that got up inside the Metroid. I don't know how that happened, but you know what? Accidents happen. It was $15, no sweat off my back. The issue that I do have with the Metroid, though, would definitely have to be with the fangs primarily. Unfortunately, they painted over soft, rubbery-ish plastic, and I already have paint chipping for no reason other than it just not holding up. So, yeah, that's not fun to have something that's already damaged for no good reason. Yeah, I don't like that. Another thing that I made mention on the normal blister carded 2.5-inch World of Nintendo Metroid is that the membrane is soft and it likes to attract dust. You will definitely have this issue with the 6-inch version as well. So make sure that you give these guys a regular dusting and you keep them clean so this way you can remove the dust. Now for articulation, they actually did include a couple of points for the 6-inch version where all of the fangs are on swivel hinges, so this way you can spin them around and move them forward and back, in and out. So this way, if you wanted to have this Metroid clamp down on someone's head for a photo shoot, or if you wanted to attack your cat with it, because that is always a fun thing to do, you can absolutely do that. And yes, Sir P-Buns, Albert has gotten quite a few Metroids on him. Now to round out the review, here is a size comparison with some Metroids along with some other figures you just might have, primarily some other Metroid related figures, because let's be honest here, you're probably going to build a little Metroid hive like I did with some of your Samus figures. So as you can see, definitely, whether or not these are going to stand in as assist trophies or you're going to build an actual display, definitely consider picking up 1, 2, or maybe 15 of these guys. So, buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Keep in mind that the 2.5-inch Metroid retails actually at about between $4 and $5, while the 6-inch World of Nintendo Metroid retails at about $14.99. If you're checking around online and you're seeing prices north of that, you are definitely taking a look at the aftermarket and some folks who are trying to get some more money out of you, like the 2.5-inch Metroid going for about $13. That is a lot of money. Try not to pay that much because you're gonna kind of feel, cheated. You're going to get scalped. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to get a lot of these to really recreate, like, let's say, Samus going into the Impact Crater, fighting Metroid Prime, or on the way to fight Mother Brain, and a whole bunch of the Metroids are coming on out, you're going to need quite a few of them. And let's be honest here, there's pretty much never just one Metroid anytime you encounter them. For all that is good and holy in the universe, please don't be that person to comment that one time you only fight one Metroid. Okay, I've played all the games at least twice. You don't gotta correct me. Anyway, the point stands, you're gonna want an army build. So if you get about 2 or 3 of them and you pay over retail, that's alright. Don't worry about that. Trust me though, these things are addictive, and if you buy one, you're going to want more. They're awesome, but do reel back that expectation a little bit and understand that though these are cool, they're not perfect. But try to get them. You're going to love them. Well, folks, that's the end of this review. Thanks for watching, and be sure to follow me on social media to catch more behind-the-scenes shenanigans and updates. The end card should be popping up now with more hand-selected STR goodness for you to watch, so check out some of those videos. Be sure to check the description, too, to see where you can buy this figure or others like it, and some cool links, like the credits for this video, and other ways you can help out the channel. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch ya